Hey, so I had a question about Substance Painter, how that works, basic high level workflows. So we're going to dive right into it. I'm going to hit new in Maya. I'm going to start in a 3D software. If you have a model already, you don't necessarily need to do this. I just want to make something very simple. Um, I'm thinking for the sake of what I want to do, I would like to maybe make like a wall with a window in it or something so that I can have like wood panel textures and some type of concrete or brick or something like that. So with that in mind, I created a cube. I'm using the good old WER to scale, move, rotate. And now I'm going to come in here and do edit mesh, or is it mesh tools? There we go. Insert edge loop. Let's insert one here and one here. I'm just kind of eyeballing it because it doesn't need to be perfect. This is not architectural engineering right now. Select two faces with F11, Control E to extrude up. And then let's say our window is about that big. And then we will extrude again. And let's see, what's the best way for me to do this? I'll probably just append polygon. Here we are. So I've deleted out the faces with F11. I'm now hitting append to polygon. I forgot the best way to use this is to just do one at a time. So I'm going to do one face, hit G to reactivate my tool in Maya. And get everything across. That looks fine. And now I'm going to F8, make sure that I have the whole thing selected. And then I'm just going to hit F11, grab the bottom faces, hold down Control, and select the faces above. And that looks fine to me. So that's going to be our wall. And then if I want to, I can have something like this. That's kind of a wooden frame. Let's redo. Call this 90. Drop it back just a little bit. Duplicate this, pull it up. And then I want to group it, duplicate it, and rotate it after modifying and centering pivot. Okay, we're good there. I was just making sure I didn't duplicate one too many times. We're going to send this out 90, and then we're going to scale in just a little bit. I am pretty happy with that. So let's leave that there. Maybe I'll do a duplication, rotate 90. And we'll pull this in a bit so it's not poking out. I'm happy with that. So let's call that good. I'm going to F8, select everything, group it all just for my own sanity, modify, freeze transformations, edit, delete by type history, and file export. So now that we are done with all of that in the span of 4 minutes and 22 seconds, let's see, I'm going to do documents, new folder, test. I'm going to call it window. Let me make sure that I actually export it as a MB, which is not the best. I'm going to export as an FBX instead. Now I'm going to pull up Painter, File New, select. Let's open it. We'll leave everything where it's at for now, default settings. The biggest issue that I have here is that the UVs are a little janky. Yeah, it's not great. And there is only one texture. So how do we fix that? Let's spend 30 seconds fixing it. I'm going to mesh combine so everything is one piece of geometry. Then I'm going to do an automatic UV unwrap, which I'm going to call good. And then I am going to just grab these faces. And I'm going to assign, let's wait and select the outer faces as well. And this guy, we're going to assign new material. It doesn't really matter. I'm doing this as a mask. And then I want to select all of these. And I want to assign another new material, which again doesn't matter. So that's good enough. I'm going to F8. I'm going to file, export FBX. Replacing window. Come back over here, file new. Select window, open. Okay, discard. Now what we have here is a few different materials. I don't really care about the standard surface one. I only care about the two materials that I created. So Blinn 1 is going to be the wall. Lambert 2 is going to be the window. So with Lambert 2 selected, we can go ahead and do a couple things and make this very simple. So let's do smart material, see what we got. I kind of want this to be like a wood chest stylized. I kind of like wood hull Nordic. Let's do this one. So I'm going to drag the smart material over. And it looks not horrible. The Z fighting there is going to drive me crazy. So I'm just going to come over here and grab this and pull it back by almost nothing. And re-export all of this. And then let's come back over here and do one last discard. Okay, we already have the whole Nordic, Lambert 2. Drag this on. And now we won't see any Z fighting. And that looks not horrible, but what we do want to do is if we're going to use any smart materials, we want to bake out the textures. Or rather bake out the texture set, bake the maps, however you want to call it. I'm going to click on this little croissant shape up here for bake. And then with everything in here, we're not doing anything fancy, so I'm just going to hit bake selected textures. Usually this is where you would bake material ID maps, etc. But I'm just going to let it run. It's going through and creating maps for all of these maps within. And that's just for Substance Painter to use in an intelligent way. So the maps have been baked. I can now click back over here and you can already see that some of the ambient occlusion is making this look really good. The wood is looking really good. That Z fighting there is driving me a little nuts. So I'm going to be annoying and just pull this back a little bit. Okay, we'll do that. And export, you can see how this is a little bit iterative. Exporting to window. I believe there's even a way to just update the file. Let me see. Re-import mesh. So now that's been re-imported. I want you to keep in mind what it looks like here. I'm going to rebake the textures because we brought in a new mesh. Textures are all going to bake, and then we're going to go back, and it's going to have all of that nice depth baked into it. So I'm pretty excited about this. The baking of the maps is critical if you're going to use smart materials. Things like dust and where things should be falling on the model are extremely important to have determined by the baked maps. Okay, so I'm happy enough with that. If we wanted to, we could really get deep in here and start to play with parameters, contrast. Let's see. So you can see here I'm playing with a piece of this. That's just the dust. So the dust I'm now changing the color of, the contrast. Kind of want this to look a little gnarly. Roughness and stains. You can see how all of these within the smart material you can play with. Wood rough. So I think what I might want to do is pull this a little bit darker. Make this look kind of weathered and old. I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's go into the blend 1, which is our wall. And let's just say we want to do like a weathered concrete. Let's see what we can work with here. This is also the fast way to work with this stuff. We can also get into painting with particle systems, etc. But this is kind of the brief high-level tutorial. So let's say for this one, we want to come in here and do coarse concrete. I can just drag that on. Theoretically. Maybe I'll just drag it over here. There we go. That looks a bit better. There's a lot of issues I have with that immediately. One of them is that I think I want the projection to be a bit different. So I'm going to do triplanar projection. I'm also going to pull the tiling way up. You know, nothing I do there I'm liking, so I'm going to delete it out. And let's try something a little bit different. Slightly better. It's better enough. I like the color variation. I like the roughness. Those cracks look shitty. No cracks. All right, 1 or 2. Crack scale. Ooh. I actually like that. I think that looks kind of nice. Then what we can do is come back into here and paint in whatever we want. So let's say I wanted, I don't know, a paint roll. Keep in mind that I can come in here and I can do a right click, add black mask, and then I can paint back in white. So this is just like Photoshop. So let me see what I have here. Brush pastel. I can increase the brush size with my bracket up, bracket down, or I can change it up here. That's way too much, so I want to take the opacity way down. So you can start to see how we would make this work. So let me bring the opacity back up. Let me turn this red to something less obnoxious. Maybe to something that used to be white. Come back over here and we'll pick something kind of interesting. So let's just play around with it. Let's find something that we like. Brushed dirt. This to me is looking pretty cool. And then I can come in here with whatever the hell I want. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but let's find out. I'm going to come back in here and paint black. onto this. So now I'm basically painting over my so that'll work fine, I think. Concrete. See if there's anything else that we want to throw in here. I don't know what pebble will do. Nothing good. Though to be honest, that's not at all what we're supposed to use it for, but it doesn't look bad. I'm kind of into that. Why not? And the idea is that I can test all this and see what it's going to look like in iRay. So I'm going to click on iRay. iRay is warming up, and then it's going to show me my image in a nicer render. So this is pretty damn bright of an environment. I believe if I see there's a there we go. If I hold down shift and right mouse, I can start to move the environment around. And that's kind of the lighting that I'm going for. I kind of want to have this lit from outside with maybe God rays or something. Maybe I'll do that in the next tutorial. So anyways, there's some substance stuff going on. Going back into paint, essentially, if you see anything grayed out over here, it's because you're not in a layer that currently works with it. So all of these pieces over here, I can create a paint layer. And now all of them are lit because I can use them. So if I wanted to, I can just come in here and paint whatever I want. Eraser, the pen tool to paint along a path. You can project in here. Polyfill, so if I wanted to put a black mask on this and then just polyfill white in the polygons that I want to be shown, that's another way to work. So anyways, there's some interesting stuff in here. You have like smudges and other objects that you can get into. I think there are other interesting things like textures, alpha maps that you can work with, and one of the most fun being the brushes that do like the particle effects to paint things. The first thing I ever modeled was an underwater chest for a professional project, and the chest had all of this moss and kind of gross green liquid leaking down from where the gold was on the top because it was at the bottom of the ocean. So a lot of interesting things to happen there. I think we'll call this video good. I'll throw it back over to iRay just for us to take a look at what we accomplished in the span of 15 minutes or so. Pretty happy with it. I think I am going to disable this top layer. That's kind of gross. And that's really all that we need to do. At this point, we can come up here and go to File, Export Textures, figure out where you want to put it, and then come over here and make sure that you are doing the output that's going to make sense. So if you're using Maya Arnold, you have that in here. If you're using Unity, this is one I use all the time, is Unity's URP or HDRP, Unreal, V-Ray, etc. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all later.